300 people watched in silence as a billionaire walked across the ballroom
Thank you,
floor.
Marcus. It's
20 steps.
beautiful.
That is all it took to destroy a marriage. His pregnant wife stood frozen, her hand pressed against her bare throat. The diamond necklace that had survived 2 world wars was gone, ripped from her neck without warning, without explanation. And now it was hanging around his mistress's neck. But here is what Marcus Ashford did not know. Here is what made him the stupidest billionaire in Connecticut. His mother-in-law was watching, recording everything. And she happened to be the most ruthless divorce attorney in the state. What follows is a story of betrayal so complete it will make your blood boil, of secrets so dark they will shock you, and of a revenge so perfectly executed that by the end you will be cheering. Stay with me until the very last minute, because the final twist, you will never see it coming. This is the story of how one satisfying destroyed a billionaire. The clasp snapped against her collarbone before she understood what was happening. Carolyn Ashford had been laughing, actually laughing. For the first time in weeks, she had felt something close to happiness. The Hartwell Foundation Gala was in full swing around her. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light across 300 guests in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. A string quartet played something elegant in the corner. Champagne flowed like water. She had been talking to Margaret Whitfield about nursery colors, yellow or mint green. Such a simple, innocent conversation. Such a normal thing for a pregnant woman to discuss at a charity event. Her hand had been resting on her belly, 7 months along. The baby had been kicking all evening, excited by the music perhaps, or by the chocolate mousse Caroline had sneaked from the dessert table. Then Marcus appeared. Her husband moved through the crowd with the confidence of a man who owned the room, which in a sense he did. The Hartwell Foundation was one of his primary charitable investments. Half the people here owed him something, a donation, a business deal, a favor they would never forget. Caroline smiled when she saw him approaching. She always smiled when she saw Marcus. It was automatic now, a reflex built over 3 years of marriage. "There you are," she said. "Margaret was just telling me about the most wonderful interior designer. She did the nursery for Margaret's grandson and—" Marcus did not smile back. His face was strange, cold, like a mask that had slipped to reveal something hollow underneath. "Marcus?" Carolyn's smile faltered. "Is everything all right?" He did not answer. Instead, he stepped closer, too close. His hands rose toward her neck. For one confused moment, Caroline thought he was going to embrace her, kiss her cheek, some public display of affection for the watching crowd. Then his fingers closed around her grandmother's diamond necklace. "Marcus, what are you—" The clasp gave way, not gently, not carefully. He yanked it. The metal bit into her skin before it broke. A small, sharp pain that would leave a mark. The necklace fell into his palm. Diamonds and platinum. Worth more than most people earned in a decade. Her grandmother had worn it through 2 world wars, had hidden it from soldiers and smugglers and everyone who tried to take it. "You do not deserve this anymore," Marcus said. His voice was loud enough to carry, loud enough for Margaret Whitfield to hear, for the couple beside them to hear, for the ripple of silence to spread outward like a stone dropped in still water. Carolyn's hand flew to her bare throat. The skin there felt cold, wrong, naked in a way that had nothing to do with modesty. "I do not understand," she whispered, but she did understand. Looking into her husband's eyes, she understood everything. The late nights at the office, the business trips that lasted longer than necessary, the way he had been looking through her instead of at her for months now. She understood. She just could not accept it. Not here, not like this, not in front of everyone they knew. Marcus turned away from her, turned away from 3 years of marriage, and 7 months of pregnancy, and every promise he had ever made. He walked 20 feet. Carolyn counted every step, would remember that number for the rest of her life. 20 steps from wife to mistress. 20 steps from everything she thought she knew to a truth she could not escape. Vanessa Cole stood near the ice sculpture, a towering swan carved from frozen water, its wings spread wide as if trying to fly away from what was about to happen. Vanessa wore red. Of course she wore red, a dress that clung to her perfect figure like it had been painted on. Her blonde hair was swept up in an elegant twist, her lips curved in a smile that held no surprise, no embarrassment, no shame. She had been waiting for this moment. Maybe she had been waiting all evening. Maybe she had been waiting for 3 years. Marcus lifted the necklace. The diamonds caught the light from the chandeliers and scattered rainbows across the marble floor. Beautiful. Obscene. He placed them around Vanessa's neck. His hands were gentle now. Careful. The same hands that had yanked the necklace from Caroline's throat with enough force to leave bruises. He kissed Vanessa's cheek. She touched the diamonds and laughed. The sound cut through the silent ballroom like broken glass dragged across skin. Caroline could not breathe. The air had turned to cement in her lungs. The baby kicked hard against her ribs, sensing her distress, trying to remind her that she was still alive, even though everything else had died. This is not happening. I am dreaming. I have to be dreaming. Wake up, wake up, wake up. But she did not wake up, because this was not a dream. This was her life, her marriage, her grandmother's necklace on another woman's neck. The champagne glass slipped from her fingers. She did not remember holding it. The crystal shattered against the marble floor. Champagne splashed across her emerald gown. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered something she could not hear. The string quartet had stopped playing. The entire room had frozen. 300 people staring at Caroline Ashford, watching her world collapse in real time. Move. You have to move. You cannot stand here forever. But her feet would not obey. They had grown roots into the marble. Her legs had turned to stone. She was a statue now, a monument to humiliation. Marcus was not even looking at her. He was whispering something to Vanessa, something that made her laugh again. That musical, poisonous laugh. He is laughing too. They are both laughing. At me. In front of everyone. The tears came. She could not stop them. Hot and shameful, streaming down her face, ruining the makeup she had spent an hour applying. She had wanted to look beautiful tonight. Had wanted Marcus to see her and remember why he had married her. What a fool she had been. What a stupid, naive, trusting fool. Caroline, a hand gripped her elbow. Firm, urgent, Diane Whitmore, her best friend since freshman year at Wellesley. Diane's face was pale with fury, her jaw clenched so tight the muscles stood out beneath her skin. We are leaving, Diane said. Right now. Do not look at them. Do not say anything. Just walk. I cannot. Caroline's voice came out broken, a whisper. I cannot feel my legs. Then I will carry you. I will throw you over my shoulder like a sack of flour if I have to. But we are not staying here one more second. Before Diane could make good on her threat, another figure appeared at Caroline's side. Eleanor Bishop, 58 years old. Silver hair swept back in an elegant chignon. A black dress that cost more than most people's cars. And eyes that had seen everything and remained untouched by any of it. Eleanor Bishop had been a divorce attorney for 30 years. She had dismantled the fortunes of countless wealthy men, had heard every lie, witnessed every betrayal, cataloged every form of cruelty that human beings could inflict on each other in the name of love. Nothing surprised her anymore. But this was different. This was not a client's marriage falling apart. This was her daughter's marriage, her grandchild's father, her own flesh and blood, being humiliated in front of everyone who mattered. Eleanor's face showed nothing. No shock, no anger, no sympathy. Just that calm, calculating expression that had destroyed hundreds of powerful men in courtrooms across the state. But Caroline saw something else, something only a daughter could see. Eleanor's hand held a cell phone. The phone that had been recording video for the past 2 minutes. Every moment of Marcus's betrayal preserved in digital clarity. Her mother had not been watching in helpless horror. She had been gathering evidence. Sweetheart, Eleanor said. Her voice was perfectly steady, perfectly controlled. We are going to walk out of here. We are going to keep our heads high. We are going to smile at anyone who looks at us. I cannot smile. I cannot. You can, you will, because this is not over. This is just beginning. Eleanor's eyes met hers, hard as diamonds, unbreakable. And when we get to my car, I'm going to tell you exactly how we are going to destroy him. The words cut through Caroline's shock like a blade. Destroy him, not save the marriage, not try to understand. Destroy. Something shifted inside her. The paralysis began to crack. Her feet remembered how to move. Diane took her left arm. Eleanor took her right. Together, together, they turned her toward the exit, one step, then another. The crowd parted before them like water before a ship. Caroline kept her chin up. She did not look back at Marcus, did not look at Vanessa touching the diamonds that should have been hers. She looked straight ahead at the double doors that led to freedom. The walk took forever. It took no time at all. Someone said something as they passed. A woman's voice. Sympathetic or mocking, Caroline could not tell. She heard only the rush of blood in her ears and the click of her heels against marble and the soft, steady rhythm of her mother's breath beside her. Almost there, Eleanor murmured. Almost there, sweetheart. You are doing perfectly. The night air hit her face like cold water. November in Connecticut, frost on the ground, stars hidden behind clouds. She had not brought a coat, had not thought she would need one. The valet had Eleanor's Mercedes waiting. How her mother had arranged that, Caroline did not know. Eleanor always arranged everything, always planned 3 steps ahead. The valet opened the back door. His eyes did not meet Caroline's. Word was already spreading. By morning, everyone in Connecticut would know what had happened. She slid into the leather seat. The interior smelled like Eleanor's perfume. Chanel No. 5. The same scent her mother had worn every day of Caroline's life. The smell of safety, of home. Diane climbed in beside her. Eleanor took the driver's seat. No one spoke. The engine purred to life. The headlights swept across the parking garage. They pulled out into the night, leaving behind the Gala and the cameras and the man Caroline had promised to love until death. Death would have been easier. Death would have made sense. This was something else. Something worse. Caroline's hand rose to her throat. Her fingers touched bare skin where the necklace had rested for 3 years. The chain had left a faint indent, a mark, evidence of what had been stolen. Then her hand moved lower, to the swell of her belly, to the baby who had no idea that her father had just destroyed everything. 20 feet. He walked 20 feet, across a crowded room, in front of everyone. He did not care who saw. He wanted them to see. The thoughts came faster now, each one sharper than the last. How long has this been going on? How many times did he come home from her and climb into bed beside me? How many times did I kiss him not knowing where his mouth had been? She was going to be sick. She was certain of it. The nausea rose in her throat, mixed with grief and rage and something that might have been relief, because part of her had known. Deep down in the place where women keep the truths they cannot face. She had known something was wrong, had felt the distance growing between them, had told herself it was stress. The company, the upcoming IPO, the pregnancy hormones making her paranoid. She had told herself so many lies, and Marcus had let her believe them. The city lights blurred past the window. They were heading toward Darien, toward Eleanor's house, toward the childhood bedroom Caroline had left behind when she married the man she thought would give her everything. I was so happy tonight, she heard herself say. The words came out broken, barely audible. I was standing there thinking about nursery colors, about what kind of mother I would be, about how lucky I was. I know, sweetheart. Eleanor's voice floated back from the driver's seat. He looked at me while he did it. He looked right at me while he put that necklace on her. He wanted me to watch. I know. Why? Caroline's voice rose, cracked, shattered. Why would he do that? Why not just tell me? Why not just ask for a divorce like a normal person? Why did he have to humiliate me in front of everyone we know? Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the whisper of tires on asphalt. Because he wanted to break you, Eleanor finally said. He wanted to make you look unstable, hysterical. He wanted 300 witnesses who would remember you crying and falling apart while he remained calm. Why would he want that? Because broken women do not fight back. Because unstable mothers lose custody battles. Because Marcus Ashford does not just want to leave you, sweetheart. He wants to destroy you first. The words landed like blows, each one knocking something loose inside Caroline, illusions, hopes, the last fragments of the life she thought she had. He is not going to win, Diane said from beside her. Her voice was fierce. protective. We are not going to let him win. No, Eleanor agreed, we are not. Carolyn pressed her palm against her belly, felt her daughter kick in response. Strong, insistent, alive. I will protect you, whatever happens, whatever I have to do. I will protect you. It was the only clear thought in the chaos. The only thing that made sense. The drive took 23 minutes. Carolyn watched the clock on the dashboard, counted every second, 23 minutes from the end of her marriage to the beginning of whatever came next. They pulled into Eleanor's driveway. The house rose before them, colonial, white, the same house where Caroline had learned to walk, where she had cried over broken hearts and celebrated small victories, where her father had lived in Bondham and left them behind. It looked different now, like a fortress, a place to hide and heal and plan. Inside, Eleanor said, both of you, I need to make some calls. Carolyn let Diane help her out of the car, let her best friend guide her up the walkway and through the front door and into the warmth of her mother's house. The living room was exactly as she remembered. Same furniture, same photographs on the mantel, same smell of lemon polish and old books. She sank onto the couch. The cushions embraced her like arms. She was so tired. Tired in a way that sleep could not fix. I'm going to make the tea, Diane said. You are going to sit here and breathe. And then we are going to figure out what comes next. Carolyn nodded, did not trust herself to speak. Diane disappeared into the kitchen. The sound of cabinets opening and water running floated through the house. Normal sounds, domestic sounds, as if the world had not just ended. Carolyn stared at nothing, at everything, at the remnants of a life that no longer existed. The worst part was not the necklace. It was what she would find when she got home. Mirror technique moment. Carolyn's hand going to her throat, then her belly. The instinctive protection of self, then child. The same gesture millions of women have made in moments of crisis. The same desperate reaching for something solid in a world that has turned to smoke. The tea grew cold in Caroline's hands. She did not remember Diane giving it to her. Did not remember wrapping her fingers around the warm ceramic. Time had become strange, elastic, minutes stretching into hours or collapsing into seconds without warning. Eleanor was on the phone in the study, her voice a low murmur through the closed door, making calls, pulling strings, setting things in motion that Caroline could not yet comprehend. Diane sat beside her on the couch, close enough to touch but not touching, giving her space, waiting. I need to go home, Carolyn said suddenly. That is a terrible idea. I need to know if, she stopped, swallowed. His closet. I need to see if his things are still there. Diane was quiet for a moment. You think he planned this? I know he planned this. You did not see his face. He was not angry. He was not emotional. He was just, she searched for the word, satisfied, like he was checking something off a list. Then we should go together tomorrow, when it is daylight and you have had time to— No. Caroline set down the tea, rose to her feet. The movement made her dizzy, but she steadied herself against the arm of the couch. I need to go now before he gets back, before he has a chance to cover his tracks. Caroline, please, Diane, I need to do this. I need to see it for myself. Eleanor appeared in the doorway, still in her black dress, still perfectly composed. But there was something in her eyes now, a sharpness that had not been there before. Go, she said. Diane stared at her. You cannot be serious. She is 7 months pregnant and in shock. She should be resting, not— She should be gathering evidence. Eleanor crossed to the closet, retrieved a coat, handed it to Caroline. Take photographs of everything. His closet, his office, any documents you can find. Do not touch anything you do not have to, and do not stay longer than 30 minutes. Mom, I will have Graham Thatcher on standby. He is the best forensic accountant in the state. If Marcus is hiding assets, Graham will find them. But we need a starting point, something to tell us where to look. Carolyn took the coat, wrapped it around her shoulders. It smelled like Eleanor's perfume, like safety. 30 minutes, she said. I will be careful. I know you will. Eleanor pulled her into a brief, fierce hug. You are stronger than you think, sweetheart. You have always been stronger than you think. The Ashford estate loomed against the night sky, 10,000 square feet of stone and glass, a wedding gift from Marcus. He had wanted to give her a castle, he said, a place where they would raise their children and grow old together and build a dynasty. What a beautiful lie it had been. Diane parked in the circular driveway. The house was dark, no lights in the windows, no sign of life. His car is not here, Diane observed. Good. That means I have time. I am coming with you. No, stay here. Keep the engine running. If he shows up, I am not leaving you alone with him. Carolyn looked at her friend, at the fierce determination on her face, at the loyalty that had never wavered in 15 years of friendship. Fine, but stay quiet, and do not touch anything. They approached the front door. Carolyn's hand trembled as she entered the security code. The lock clicked. The door swung open. The house smelled wrong. She noticed it immediately. Something stale. Old. Like a room that had been closed up for too long. Like no one had been living here, even though she had been living here just this morning. "Marcus," she called out. Her voice echoed through the empty foyer. No response. She flipped on the lights. The foyer blazed to life. Marble floors, curved staircase, a chandelier that cost more than most people's houses. And there, by the stairs, a suitcase, Louis Vuitton, the one Marcus used for business trips, packed, ready. He was leaving, Carolyn whispered. He packed before the gala. She moved through the house, up the staircase, down the hall to the master bedroom. Each step heavier than the last. The bedroom door was open. She stepped inside. The smell was stronger here. Stale cologne, cold air. The window was cracked open, letting in the November chill. She went to his closet, pulled open the doors, half empty. His suits were gone, the ones he wore to board meetings and investor presentations. His watches, the Rolex collection he had started before they met. The drawer where he kept his passport. Empty. The safe behind the false panel. Open. Cleared out. "Oh, God," Diane breathed from behind her. "He took everything." Not everything. Carolyn's voice was steady now. Strange. Like it belonged to someone else. He left enough to make it look normal. But the important things, the things he actually cared about, those are gone. She pulled out her phone, started taking photographs. The empty hangers, the clear drawers, the open safe, evidence. Her mother wanted evidence. She would give her evidence. His office, she said. He has a computer in his office. The home office was down the hall. Dark wood and leather chairs and a view of the gardens that cost more to maintain than most people earned in a year. Carolyn had never liked this room. It smelled like Marcus, like his ambition, like the secrets he kept locked behind those expensive oak doors. The laptop sat on the desk, screen dark. She touched a key. The screen blazed to life. He had not logged out, had not even closed his email. In his hurry to get to the gala, to humiliate her, to begin his new life, he had forgotten to secure his own computer. Or maybe he had wanted her to find it. Maybe this was part of the plan too. She did not care anymore. Whatever game he was playing, she was going to beat him at it. The inbox was open. Hundreds of messages. She scrolled through them. Business, business, business. Then one subject line caught her eye. Turks and Caicos confirmation. Mr. and Mrs. Ashford. Her heart stopped, actually stopped. She felt it stutter in her chest before resuming its rhythm. She clicked on the email, read the word, read them again, a third time. Confirmation for 2 guests. Resort name, Parrot K, room type, honeymoon suite, ocean view. Departure date, tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. He was leaving tomorrow. With Vanessa, to a honeymoon suite. They had gone to Turks and Caicos for their honeymoon, the same resort. Maybe even the same room. He was going to remake those memories with someone else. Overwrite them. Replace her, Diane. Her voice came out strangled. "Look at this." Diane looked. Her face went white. "That absolute bastard," she whispered. "That complete and utter bastard." Carolyn kept scrolling. More emails, more evidence. A thread with someone named Vanessa Cole, going back months, years. "Cannot wait to see you tonight. The dress is perfect. He will not be able to keep his eyes off you." Soon, baby. Soon it will just be us. Once the IPO is done, she suspects nothing. She is too busy with the pregnancy to notice anything. The words blurred. Carolyn's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the phone steady as she photographed each email. 2 years. The affair had been going on for 2 years. Since before she got pregnant. Since before they started trying for a baby. He was already with her when he suggested we start a family. He was already planning to leave me when he held my hand at the fertility clinic. The realization was too big to process. Too monstrous. She filed it away, put it in a box, locked it. She would deal with it later. When she was alone, when she could afford to fall apart. We need to leave, Diane said. We have been here 20 minutes. Your mother said 30. One more thing. Carolyn navigated to the file folder. Marcus always kept important documents on his desktop. Organized. Labeled. He was meticulous about everything. She found a folder labeled personal. Inside were bank statements, account numbers she did not recognize, companies with names she had never heard of. BlackRock Holdings LLC, Cayman Capital Partners, Ashford Family Trust. What is all this? Diane asked. I do not know, but my mother will. Carolyn forwarded the entire folder to Eleanor's email, then deleted the forwarded message from Marcus's sent folder, then emptied his trash. Let him wonder how they found out. Let him search his computer and find nothing. Let him feel even a fraction of the confusion and betrayal she was feeling right now. Now we can go, she said. They left through the front door, locked it behind them, drove away into the night without looking back. Caroline did not cry, did not speak, just sat in the passenger seat and watched the house disappear in the rearview mirror. She would never set foot in that place again, would never sleep in that bed or cook in that kitchen or tend that garden. It had never been her home, just another beautiful prison. Eleanor was waiting when they returned to Darien. Graham Thatcher was with her, a tall man with gray at his temples and wire-rimmed glasses. He looked like a professor, moved like a hunter. Show me, he said without preamble. Carolyn handed over her phone. Graham began scrolling through the photographs. His expression did not change, but something flickered in his eyes. Interest, excitement, the look of a man who had just found exactly what he was looking for. Shell companies, he murmured. At least half a dozen, registered in Delaware and the Caymans. This one here, he pointed to a document. This is a property deed, beachfront property, purchased 18 months ago. How much money are we talking about? Eleanor asked. Hard to say without a full audit, but based on these account balances, Graham did some quick calculations. Conservative estimate, 40 to 50 million in hidden assets. The number hung in the air, incomprehensible, obscene. His official net worth is 90 million, Carolyn said slowly. If he has been hiding 50 million, then more than half of everything he owns was deliberately concealed from you. Eleanor's voice was cold, precise. Under Connecticut law, that is fraud, serious fraud. There is more. Graham swiped to another photograph. This email thread with his attorney, they are discussing something called a prenuptial modification. We do not have a prenup, Carolyn said. He refused to sign one. He said he trusted me. Exactly, which means everything he earned during the marriage is community property. But look at this. Graham enlarged the image. He has been working with his lawyer to retroactively claim certain assets as premarital property, forging documents to make it look like these shell companies existed before your wedding. Can he do that? He can try, but now that we know what to look for, Graham smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. He cannot hide anything from me. I built my career on finding money that people did not want found. Eleanor turned to her daughter. Caroline, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I am listening. Everything that happens in the next 72 hours will determine the rest of your life and that baby's life. Marcus is not just having an affair. He is not just leaving you. He is building a case, a legal case, to take everything, your money, your reputation, your child. Why would he want custody? He does not even want to be a father. He has made that perfectly clear. He does not want to be a father. He wants leverage. He wants to force you to accept whatever scraps he offers in exchange for access to your own daughter. The words should have devastated her. Instead, they clarified everything, made the path ahead crystal clear. Then we have to beat them, Caroline said. We have to build a better case. Faster. Eleanor nodded. I have handled 412 divorce cases in my career. I have never lost one. I do not intend to start with my own daughter. What do we do first? First, you rest. You are pregnant and in shock, and your body needs time to recover. Diane will stay with you. I will wake you if anything urgent develops. I cannot sleep, not after. You have to try. The fight starts tomorrow. I need you strong. Carolyn wanted to argue, wanted to stay awake and plan and prepare, but her body was already betraying her. The adrenaline fading, the exhaustion crashing over her like a wave. Okay, she said, okay. Diane helped her upstairs, to her childhood bedroom, the same floral bedspread, the same books on the shelf, the same glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling that she had put up when she was 12. She changed into pajamas, climbed into the narrow twin bed, pulled the covers up to her chin. The baby settled, growing still as Caroline's body relaxed. I am going to be right here, Diane said, in the chair. All night you are not alone. I know. Caroline closed her eyes. Thank you. Do not thank me. Just sleep. Tomorrow we go to war. War, yes. That was what this was now. Sleep came eventually, fitful and filled with dreams of diamonds falling into darkness and a man walking 20 feet away from everything she thought she knew. Validation whisper number 1. I am not crazy. He has been planning this for months, maybe years, and I almost did not see it in time. Breathing room, Carolyn in the nursery before they left the house. Standing in the doorway, looking at unpainted walls and an unmade crib still in boxes. A rocking chair she bought 3 months ago. A future that no longer exists. She stands there for a long time. Does not enter, does not touch anything, just looks. Then she turns away, closes the door, walks out of her old life forever. Morning arrived like an unwelcome guest. Caroline woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices downstairs. Her body ached. Her eyes were swollen from crying in her sleep. The baby was restless, kicking against her ribs as if trying to escape. She lay still for a moment, staring at the ceiling, at the glow-in-the-dark stars that had faded with time but never completely disappeared. This is real. This is my life now. The thought was almost too heavy to bear. But she forced herself to sit up, to swing her legs over the side of the bed, to stand. Survival required movement, required action, required getting up even when staying down felt easier. She found clean clothes in the closet, things she had left behind when she married Marcus. Jeans that no longer fit over her pregnant belly, sweaters that were out of style. She settled for a loose dress and a cardigan that had belonged to her father. The stairs creaked as she descended. The sound was familiar, comforting. So different from the silent glide of the marble staircase in the Ashford mansion. Eleanor was in the kitchen with Graham Thatcher, papers spread across the table, laptops open, coffee cups empty and refilled. Good, you are awake. Eleanor did not look up from the document she was reading. Sit down, eat something. I am not hungry. I did not ask if you were hungry. You are pregnant. Eat. A plate appeared before her. Toast, scrambled eggs, orange juice. She forced herself to take a bite, then another. Her stomach protested but eventually accepted the food. What did you find? She asked. Graham leaned back in his chair, removed his glasses, rubbed his eyes. Where do you want me to start? The beginning. The shell companies go back further than we thought. The first one was registered 4 years ago, before your wedding. Marcus has been hiding money from the start. 4 years, her entire marriage. Every moment of it built on lies. How much? Current estimate being about $53 million in hidden assets. That includes the Cayman property, 3 cryptocurrency accounts, and a private investment fund registered in Singapore. Singapore. He has been moving money internationally for years, building a network of accounts that would be nearly impossible to trace. But you trace them. Graham smiled, that sharp, predatory smile. I am very good at my job. Eleanor slid a folder across the table. There is something else, something that changes everything. Carolyn opened the folder. Inside was a medical document, a procedure she did not recognize. dated 4 years ago. What is this? This is documentation of a vasectomy reversal, performed on Marcus Ashford 3 months before your wedding. The words did not make sense. Carolyn read them again, a third time. A vasectomy reversal? Marcus had a vasectomy when he was 25, a decision he made after his first serious girlfriend got pregnant and demanded he marry her. He paid for her abortion and swore he would never let anyone trap him again. I do not understand. We tried for a year to get pregnant. We went to fertility specialists. He was with me at every appointment. He was so excited when we finally... The truth hit her like a physical blow. She actually doubled over, felt Diane's hand on her back, heard voices asking if she was okay. She was not okay. She would never be okay again. He reversed the vasectomy specifically to get me pregnant. The pregnancy was not luck. It was not fate. It was strategy. My baby was a business decision. Why not I saw him, stole Shia, why she managed. Why would he want me pregnant if he was planning to leave? Control, Eleanor said simply. A child ties you to him, makes divorce more complicated, gives him leverage in custody disputes. And a pregnant wife is sympathetic, unstable, easy to manipulate. He planned this. From the very beginning. Carolyn stood up, walked to the sink, gripped the counter until her knuckles went white. She had thought the affair was the worst of it, had thought the humiliation at the gala was rock bottom. But this was deeper, darker, a betrayal so complete it reshaped everything she thought she knew about her own life. Her pregnancy, the happiest surprise of her life, the baby she had wanted and loved and planned for. It had never been real, just another move in Marcus's game. I thought it was a miracle, she whispered. We had been trying for so long. When the test came back positive, I cried. I was so happy. I know, sweetheart. He held me. He said he was happy too. He said it was the beginning of our real life together. He lied. He has been lying since the moment you met. Carolyn turned around. Her face had changed. The grief was still there, but something else had joined it. Something harder, colder. What else? What else has he been hiding? Graham and Eleanor exchanged glances, a silent communication between two people who had worked together for years. The therapist, Eleanor said, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the one Marcus recommended when you started experiencing anxiety during the pregnancy. What about her? She has been his mistress, before Vanessa, for 2 years. Overlapping. The hits kept coming, each one worse than the last. She was documenting your sessions, Graham added, creating a paper trail of supposed mental instability, anxiety, paranoia, emotional outbursts. I trusted her. I told her things I have never told anyone. I cried in her office. Carolyn stopped, took a breath. She was reporting everything back to Marcus? Everything, and spinning it to make you look unstable, building a case for him to use in a custody battle. He was going to use my own therapy against me? He was going to paint you as an unfit mother, someone too fragile to be trusted with a child, and he was going to use Dr. Mitchell as his expert witness. Carolyn laughed. The sound was ugly, broken, nothing like the way she used to laugh before Marcus Ashford taught her that happiness was just another kind of trap. So let me make sure I understand this correctly, she said. My husband has been hiding $50 million for 4 years. He reversed his vasectomy specifically to get me pregnant as a control tactic. He has been having affairs with multiple women, including my own therapist. And he is building a case to take my daughter away from me by proving I am mentally unfit. That summarizes it, yes. Is there anything else? Another glance between Graham and Eleanor. There might be, Graham said carefully. We have a private investigator looking into some other leads. Ruth Navarro. She is the best in the business. What kind of leads? Financial irregularities at Ashford Technologies, possible embezzlement. We are not sure who is involved yet, but the numbers do not add up. You think Marcus is stealing from his own company? Think someone is. And if we can prove it, the board will have no choice but to take action. That could affect the IPO and Marcus's net worth. And everything else, Lindishko. Carolyn sat back down. Her legs were suddenly too weak to support her. The IPO, she said slowly. That is in 6 weeks, right? 5 weeks and 4 days. And if news of this divorce goes public before then, share prices drop, investor confidence disappears. Marcus could lose $100 million or more. So he wanted to get me out of the way first, humiliate me publicly, make me look unstable, then announce the divorce as a tragic necessity caused by his pregnant wife's mental breakdown. That would be my assessment, yes. Carolyn stared at the papers spread across her mother's kitchen table. At the evidence of betrayal so comprehensive it was almost impressive. Marcus had thought of everything, had planned for every contingency, had built a trap so elaborate she never even knew she was caught. Almost everything. He made one mistake, she said. What is that? He married the daughter of the best divorce attorney in Connecticut. Eleanor smiled, that rare, genuine smile that Caroline had not seen in years. Two mistakes, Eleanor corrected. He also underestimated you. I will not make that easy for him, not anymore. No, you will not. Carolyn pulled the papers toward her, started reading through the evidence, learning every detail of her husband's betrayal. If this was war, she needed to know her enemy, every weakness, every vulnerability, every secret he thought he had hidden. By the time she finished, she would know Marcus Ashford better than he knew himself, and then she would destroy him. Mirror technique moment. Later that night, Caroline scrolling through her phone. The pregnancy announcement photos from 7 months ago. Marcus's arm around her shoulders, his smile wide and proud. She zooms in on his face, studies it, looks for some sign of the lie, some crack in the performance. There is nothing. His happiness looks so real. Even now, knowing everything, she cannot tell it was fake. That is what scares her most. The days that followed were a blur of legal documents and strategy sessions. Eleanor assembled her team, Graham with his spreadsheets and bank records, Ruth Navarro with her surveillance skills and network of contacts, two junior associates from Eleanor's firm who worked around the clock, pulling every thread Marcus had tried to bury. Caroline sat in on every meeting, learned every detail, refused to be protected from the truth of her own marriage. We need to talk about the therapist, Ruth said at one session. She was a compact woman in her late 40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. The kind of person who noticed everything and forgot nothing. Dr. Mitchell, Caroline said. The name tasted bitter on her tongue. I have been following her. She and Marcus have been meeting at a hotel in Stamford every Thursday afternoon. Have been for 2 years. 17 instances documented, Graham added. Credit card receipts, hotel security footage. Text messages we obtained through, let us call them unconventional channels. Is that legal? The messages were sent to Marcus's phone. You have a legal right to marital communications. How we became aware of them is a gray area, but the content is admissible. What do the messages say? Ruth pulled out a folder. They discuss you at length. Dr. Mitchell reports on your sessions. Marcus gives her instructions on what to emphasize, what to document, how to frame your words to make them sound more alarming. Caroline took the folder, read the messages, each one a knife in her chest. She cried again today. 45 minutes straight, mentioned feeling overwhelmed and alone. Perfect ammunition for the custody filing. She is more paranoid than usual, asked if I thought Marcus was hiding something. I redirected toward her childhood abandonment issues. She bought it completely. The pregnancy is making her increasingly emotional. I have documented 3 panic attacks this month, all exaggerated, of course, but the records will hold up in court. Carolyn set down the folder. Her hands were steady, her voice was calm. Can we use this to destroy her? We can do better than that, Eleanor said. Dr. Mitchell violated every ethics code in existence, having an affair with the husband of a patient, documenting false medical information, conspiring to strip a mother of custody. When we file the complaint, she will lose her license in every state where she is certified. And her testimony becomes worthless. Any judge will throw it out once they see the evidence of her relationship with Marcus. Good. What else? Ruth hesitated. There is one more thing about Vanessa Cole. What about her? She has been embezzling from Ashford Technologies, small amounts at first, larger sums more recently. We are looking at approximately $2.3 million over 18 months. Does Marcus know? We do not think so. She has been careful, but she made some mistakes. The money trail leads back to a personal account in her name. Why would his own mistress steal from him? Insurance, probably. She knows what he is, knows he will eventually discard her like he discarded everyone else. She is building a nest egg for when that happens. Is there anything else about Vanessa? Another hesitation. Ruth looked at Eleanor. Eleanor nodded. She was pregnant, Ruth said quietly. 7 weeks. She terminated the procedure 4 days ago. Marcus does not know. And the information should have triggered some emotion, jealousy, anger, relief. Instead, Caroline felt only a distant sadness. For Vanessa, for the child that would never exist, for all the women Marcus Ashford had used and discarded. I thought I was the only one he was destroying. I was not even special in that. Can we use the embezzlement? We can threaten to expose it, offer her immunity in exchange for cooperation. You want to turn her? I want to give her a choice. She has been inside Marcus's world for years. She knows things, seen things, and right now she is scared. Scared people make deals. Carolyn nodded slowly. Do it. Contact her, see what she has to offer. Are you sure? She is the woman who... I know who she is. I also know that we need every advantage we can get. If she wants to help burn down his empire, I am willing to give her the match. Eleanor smiled, pride in her eyes. You are thinking like a lawyer, she said. I am thinking like a mother. Whatever it takes to protect my daughter. That is all that matters now. Validation whisper number 2. I thought I was the only one he was destroying. I was not even special in that. Just one more victim in a long, long line. Marcus came to Eleanor's house on the 5th day. Carolyn was alone when the doorbell rang. Her mother at the office. Diane gone to pick up groceries. No one expected him to show up in the middle of a Tuesday morning, but there he was, standing on the porch in a cashmere coat that cost more than most people's rent, his face carefully arranged in an expression of concern, contrition, love. Carolyn did not open the door. She stood on the other side of it, looking through the peephole at the man she had married, the man she had trusted, the man who had systematically destroyed everything she thought she knew. I know you are there, Marcus said. I can see your shadow through the glass. Please, Caroline, just let me explain. She did not move, did not speak, just watched. I made a mistake, he continued. At the gala, I was not thinking clearly. The stress of the IPO, the pressure from the board, I snapped. It was wrong. I know it was wrong. Still, she said nothing. Vanessa means nothing. She is just a distraction, a stupid mistake. What we have is real. What we have built together. Our family, our future. The word family almost made her laugh, almost, but that it would require opening her mouth, and she did not trust what would come out if she did. I love you, Caroline. I love our daughter. Please, let me come in. Let me make this right. She finally spoke, her voice flat, empty of emotion. Go away, Marcus. Caroline, go away now before I call the police. Silence, long, heavy. Then she heard something change in his voice. The mask slipping, the real Marcus emerging from behind the performance. Fine, if that is how you want to play this. But we need to talk about the divorce, about custody arrangements, about what happens next. My attorney will contact yours. Your mother is not your attorney. She is too personally involved. Any competent judge will recuse her. My mother is not my attorney of record. She is merely advising. Graham Thatcher will handle the actual filings. A pause. Marcus had not expected that. You have already hired a team. I have already begun building my case. You should do the same. Now leave. Another long silence. Then Marcus laughed. A short, ugly sound. You think you can beat me? Do you have any idea who you are dealing with? I have lawyers who bill more per hour than your mother earns in a week. I have connections in every courthouse in this state. I have a documented history of hiding assets, shell companies, offshore accounts, a property in the Caymans you purchased with marital funds. He went still. She could hear it through the door, the sudden absence of movement, the held breath. How do you know about that? You left your computer logged in. Did you forget? In your hurry to humiliate your pregnant wife, you forgot to cover your tracks. That is impossible. There is no way you could have. I know about the Singapore fund too, and the cryptocurrency accounts, and the vasectomy reversal 3 months before our wedding. Complete silence now, not even breathing. Everything you tried to hide, Caroline continued, every lie you thought you got away with. I know all of it, and so does my legal team. When Marcus spoke again, his voice was different, stripped of pretense, cold and dangerous. You are making a mistake, Caroline. A very serious mistake. The only mistake I made was marrying you. I am correcting it now. I will bury you. I will take everything. You will never see that baby. That is where you are wrong. She pressed her hand against the door, against the thin barrier between her and the monster she had loved. I am going to fight you with everything I have. And when it is over, everyone will know exactly who you are. Not the brilliant entrepreneur, not the charming billionaire, the man who hid $50 million from his pregnant wife, the man who weaponized her therapy, the man who reversed his vasectomy to trap her. No one will believe you. They will when they see the evidence, every document, every email, every secret you thought was buried. I will destroy you first. You can try. She heard him breathing, fast, ragged, losing control. This is not over, he said finally. No, it is just beginning. His footsteps retreated, the sound of a car door slamming, an engine starting, tires on gravel. Caroline stayed by the door for a long time after he left, her hand still pressed against the wood, her heart pounding in her chest. She had done it, had faced him, had stood her ground, and she had not fallen apart. Eleanor came home 2 hours later, found her daughter in the kitchen, drinking tea, looking calmer than she had in days. He was here, Caroline said. Marcus, he came to the house. I know. Ruth was watching from her car down the street. She recorded the entire conversation through the door. I did not know she was there. That is the point. She is also following Marcus now, documenting his movements. Everyone he meets, everywhere he goes. Carolyn nodded, took another sip of tea. He threatened to destroy me. Of course he did. It is what bullies do when they start losing. He said he would take the baby. He can say whatever he wants. The evidence we have already gathered makes him unfit for unsupervised visitation, let alone custody. He does not know about Dr. Mitchell yet, about our connection to her. No, and we are going to keep it that way until the perfect moment. Carolyn looked at her mother, at the woman who had spent 30 years preparing for battles exactly like this one. How do you do it? She asked. How do you stay so calm? Practice and perspective. Marcus thinks he is special, thinks his money and power make him untouchable. But I have taken down men richer than him, smarter than him, crueler than him. He is just another bully in an expensive suit. What happens next? Mess we wait. Graham is still tracing the money. Ruth is still building the surveillance file. And in about 3 weeks, Marcus is going to make his move. He will file for divorce first. Try to control the narrative. Claim you abandoned the marriage. How do you know? Because it is what I would do in his position. Strike first, control the terms, make your opponent respond to you instead of the other way around. So we let him file first? We let him think he is winning, and then we counter with everything we have. The Richardson playbook. Eleanor smiled. You have been doing your research. I remembered the name from the night at the hospital. You mentioned it when I said I wanted to fight. Jonathan Richardson, 15 years ago, hedge fund manager worth $200 million. Thought he was untouchable. Thought his money could protect him from consequences. What happened to him? He lost everything. His business, his reputation, his family. Last I heard, he was living in a studio apartment in New Jersey, working as a consultant for a company he used to own. Because of you? Because of his own arrogance. I just showed people who he really was. Carolyn set down her tea, met her mother's eyes. I want that for Marcus. I want everyone to see. Then that is what we will do. But it takes time, patience, and perfect timing. I can be patient. I know you can. They sat in silence for a moment. Mother and daughter, planning the destruction of a man who deserved everything that was coming. There is something I need to tell you, Eleanor said finally. Something about your wedding. And what about it? The week after you married Marcus, I prepared a complete divorce file. Names of the best forensic accountants, private investigators, therapists who specialize in high-conflict divorces. I had it ready, just in case. Carolyn stared at her. You expected this. I hoped I was wrong, but yes, I saw something in Marcus that worried me. The way he looked at you, like you were a possession, a prize he had won. Why did you not say anything? Would you have listened? The question hung in the air, both of them knowing the answer. No, Carolyn admitted. I would have been angry. I would have accused you of trying to ruin my happiness. Exactly. So I stayed quiet, prepared for the worst, and prayed I would never need to use it. You did not cry at my wedding. No. I thought you were being cold, judging me. I was mourning, for the daughter I knew I was about to lose, for the version of you that existed before Marcus Ashford. The confession should have hurt. Instead, it felt like relief, validation. Someone had seen the truth when Caroline could not. She did not cry at my wedding. She was mourning. Mirror technique moment. Caroline at the door, her palm pressed against the wood, feeling Marcus's presence on the other side. The thin barrier between her and everything she used to love. She realizes she is not afraid. Not anymore. Fear requires uncertainty, and she knows exactly who Marcus is now. The social media storm hit on day 7. The Gala photos circulated everywhere. Every platform, every gossip site, every comment section filled with speculation about what Caroline Ashford must have done to deserve such public humiliation. She must have cheated. I heard she is mentally unstable. He probably caught her doing something terrible. Poor man, imagine being trapped with someone like that. Carolyn read the comments, all of them. Sat in her mother's living room and scrolled through thousands of strangers dissecting her worst moment. Diane tried to stop her. This is not healthy. You are torturing yourself. I need to know what people are saying. People are saying whatever makes them feel better about their own lives. It has nothing to do with reality. It has everything to do with reality. This is the narrative Marcus is building. This is what people will believe unless we give them something else. She kept scrolling, past the cruel comments, past the speculation, until she found something that made her stop. A photo, posted by someone who had been at the gala, not the official photographer, just a guest with a phone. It showed Marcus, his face. The moment he took the necklace from Caroline's throat, he was smiling, not the sad smile of a man forced into a terrible situation, not the angry grimace of someone reacting to provocation, a calm, satisfied smile. The expression of someone who was exactly where he wanted to be. Look at this, Caroline said. Handed the phone to Diane. Diane looked. Her face went pale. He is enjoying it. Yes. He actually enjoyed humiliating you. Yes. That's sick, twisted. Diane stopped, took a breath. We need to save this. Show it to your mother. Already sent it. Eleanor called back within the hour. This is perfect, she said. This photo destroys his narrative. No one can look at this and think he was forced into anything. Can we use it? We can do better than use it. We can make sure it goes viral. How? Leave that to me. By evening, the photo had spread across every major platform. Someone had added a caption, the face of a man destroying his pregnant wife's life and loving every second. The comments started changing, slowly at first, then faster. Wait, he is actually smiling? That is not the face of a man who regrets anything. She looks devastated. He looks happy. This is sick. I take back everything I said. He is a monster. The tide was turning, Marcus noticed. Within 2 days, he had hired a crisis management firm. Professional reputation rehabilitation. Leaked statements to friendly journalists about his side of the story. A marriage that had been failing for years. A wife who refused to seek help for her mental health issues. A decision that was painful but necessary. The counter-narrative spread, but the photo had done its damage. Every time someone saw Marcus's statement, they remembered that smile. That cold, satisfied expression. People did not forget things like that. He is panicking, Ruth reported at the next strategy session. His lawyers have been working around the clock. They know we have something on him. They just do not know how much. Let them wonder, Eleanor said. Uncertainty is more frightening than certainty. What about the therapist? Caroline asked. Are we ready to move on that? Not yet, Doctor. Mitchell is our nuclear option. We save her for when we need maximum impact. When will that be? When Marcus files for custody. When he tries to use her testimony against you. Then we reveal everything. The affair, the falsified records, the conspiracy to strip a mother of her child. Will the medical board take action? They will have no choice. The evidence is overwhelming. Dr. Mitchell will lose her license, her credibility, her career. Good. The word came out harder than Caroline expected. She did not recognize her own voice anymore, did not recognize the woman she was becoming. Maybe that was okay. Maybe the woman she used to be was too soft for this fight. The hospital scare came on day 12. Carolyn was reviewing documents in her mother's study when the first contraction hit. Sharp, sudden, like a fist closing around her entire torso. She gasped, dropped the papers. Her hand flew to her belly. Mom? Eleanor looked up, saw her daughter's face, went pale. How bad? Bad. It is too early. I am only 31 weeks. Another contraction, stronger than the first. Caroline doubled over. We are going to the hospital. Now. The drive was a blur, Eleanor running red lights. Caroline in the passenger seat, breathing through the pain, trying not to panic. Not now, please, not now. She is not ready. I am not ready. The emergency room was bright and cold and filled with strangers asking questions Caroline could not answer. Someone hooked her up to monitors. Someone else inserted an IV. The baby's heartbeat filled the room. Fast but steady. Dr. Rebecca Palmer arrived within 20 minutes. Her face was serious as she examined Caroline. Your blood pressure is through the roof, she said. The stress of the past 2 weeks has taken a severe toll. I need you to stay calm. Is the baby okay? The baby is stable for now. Strong heartbeat, good movement, but your body is sending distress signals. If we do not get this under control, we are looking at early delivery. How early? Too early, 31 weeks. We want at least 37 for optimal outcomes. What do I need to do? Rest, real rest. Not reviewing legal documents until 2 in the morning. Not scrolling through social media. Not confronting your estranged husband. I cannot just stop. There are things that need to be. Those things can wait. Your daughter cannot. The words hit like a slap. Caroline went quiet. I am going to keep you overnight for observation, Dr. Palmer continued. Monitor your blood pressure. Make sure the baby stays stable. And I am putting you on modified bed rest for the remainder of the pregnancy. Modified bed rest? Short walks, light activity, no stress, no emotional confrontations, and absolutely no more Gala photographs going viral on the internet. That was not my fault. I know, but your body does not care about fault. Your body is trying to protect your baby. You need to help it. Carolyn nodded, accepted it. What choice did she have? Eleanor arrived at the hospital an hour later, sat beside the bed, took her daughter's hand. Everything else stops, she said. Graham and Ruth can handle the investigation. I will manage the legal filings. You focus on that baby. I cannot just... Yes, you can and you will, because I did not spend 30 years building a career just to watch my granddaughter arrive too early because her mother was too stubborn to rest. There was no arguing with Eleanor Bishop when she used that tone. Carolyn had learned that as a child. Some lessons never faded. Okay, she said. Okay. She lay back against the pillows, watched the monitor that tracked her baby's heartbeat, let the exhaustion finally take her. But sleep did not come easily, not in that cold hospital bed, not with the future so uncertain. Breathing room, Caroline alone at 2 in the morning. The hospital room quiet except for the beeping monitors, city lights through the window, the baby moving inside her. She puts her hand on her belly, feels her daughter kick. I am sorry, she whispers. I am sorry for all the stress. I am sorry your father is who he is. I am sorry you are being born into this mess. Another kick. Softer this time. Like a response. Like forgiveness. We are going to be okay. Somehow. We are going to be okay. Marcus did not come to the hospital. Caroline had not expected him to, but some small part of her had hoped, the part that still remembered who she thought he was, who she had wanted him to be. She texted him once, just to let him know she was there, just to give him the chance to be human. No response. Diane arrived in the morning, brought flowers and magazines and the kind of fierce, protective energy that had defined their friendship for 15 years. "I'm going to murder him," Diane said, slowly, painfully, with my bare hands. "Please do not get arrested on my behalf. I make no promises." They sat together, Diane reading celebrity gossip aloud, Caroline pretending to listen. The normalcy of it almost unbearable. "What am I going to do?" Caroline asked finally. "About everything. The divorce, the custody battle, the baby coming in 6 weeks. How am I supposed to handle all of it?" "You do not have to handle all of it alone." "But I'm alone. That is the reality. Marcus is gone. My father is dead. It is just me and my mother and a legal team that bills by the hour. And me, you have me, always." Carolyn looked at her friend, at the worry in her eyes, the love that had never wavered through breakups and weddings and every other crisis life had thrown their way. "Thank you," she said, "for everything, for being here, for not saying I told you so. I would never say that. You warned me when I first started dating him. You said he seemed too perfect. I said he seemed like a man who was performing being in love. But you were happy, happier than I had ever seen you. I did not want to ruin that. Was I wrong to marry him, to believe in the fairy tale?" Diane was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "You were hopeful. That is not the same as wrong. You wanted to believe that love could be that simple, that happiness could be that easy. There is nothing wrong with wanting that. But it was never real. Parts of it were real. Your feelings were real. Your hope was real. Just because he was lying does not mean you were." The words settled into Caroline's chest, a small comfort in the middle of so much pain. "I do not know who I am anymore," she admitted. "Without him, without the marriage, without the life I thought I was building. You are Caroline, same as you have always been. The rest is just circumstances." "It does not feel like circumstances. It feels like everything." "I know, but it will not feel that way forever, I promise." Caroline wanted to believe her, wanted to believe that someday this would be a story she told, a chapter in a book with a happy ending. But right now, it did not feel like a story. It felt like drowning. Validation whisper number 3. "I thought I was the only one he was destroying. I was not even special in that. Just another woman who trusted the wrong man." The night in the hospital stretched into forever. Carolyn stared at the ceiling, at the fluorescent lights that never quite turned off, at the shadows that moved across the walls as nurses passed her door. She should have been sleeping. Dr. Palmer had given her something to help, a mild sedative, safe for the baby, supposed to quiet the thoughts. It was not working. When did I disappear? Was it gradual or all at once? The question circled through her mind like a predator waiting for weakness. I used to be someone. I had opinions, dreams. A laugh that came easily. I used to walk into rooms and feel like I belonged there. When did that stop? When did I start looking to Marcus to tell me who I was? She could not pinpoint the moment, could not identify the exact turning point. It had happened so slowly, so gently, like water wearing away at stone. First, he had opinions about her clothes, not demands, just observations. "You look better in blue than yellow. That dress does not flatter your figure. Maybe something more elegant for the company dinner?" She had changed, not because he forced her, because she wanted him to be pleased, wanted to see that smile, that approving nod. Then it was her friends, not directly, but invitations that conflicted with his schedule, weekends that were always busy, until her friendships faded to text messages and occasional lunches that she had to schedule weeks in advance. Diane had survived. Diane was stubborn, but the others had drifted away, and Caroline had let them go. Then it was her career. She had been a junior art curator at the Hartford Museum, loved the work, loved discovering new artists, loved helping beautiful things find their place in the world. Marcus had suggested she take time off, focus on the house, on making a home for them. She would go back eventually. When things settled down, things never settled down. And now here she was, 31 years old, pregnant, alone in a hospital room at 2 in the morning, showing with no job, no savings, no identity that was truly her own. I gave him everything, piece by piece, until there was nothing left. The tears came. She did not fight them, let them stream down her face in the darkness. She was mourning. Not just the marriage, not just the future she had imagined. She was mourning the woman she used to be, the woman who had disappeared so completely that Caroline could not even remember what she looked like. Her phone buzzed on the bedside table. She reached for it, half hoping it was Marcus, finally responding, finally being human. It was not Marcus. It was a Google alert, her name in the news. Ashford divorce drama, friends claim wife has history of mental instability. She clicked the link, read the article. Anonymous sources close to the family describing her history of anxiety, her emotional volatility, her unhealthy dependence on her husband. Dr. Mitchell, it had to be, or Marcus himself, planting stories, building the narrative. They are trying to make me look crazy, and maybe they are succeeding. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I imagined a marriage that was never real. She opened Instagram without thinking, without intention, her fingers moving on their own. She typed in the search bar, how to know if your marriage is over, then deleted it. Typed it again, deleted it again. What am I looking for? What answer is going to make this better? There was no answer, no magic words, no internet stranger who could tell her how to survive this. She put the phone down, turned her face to the window, watched the city lights blur through her tears. I am alone, completely alone, and I do not know if I am strong enough for what comes next. The baby kicked, hard, right against her ribs, as if disagreeing. Caroline put her hand on her belly, felt the movement beneath her palm. Not alone, not completely. I have you. We have each other. It was not enough. She knew it was not enough. A baby could not fix a broken life. A child could not fill the void left by a destroyed marriage. But it was something. A reason to keep breathing. A reason to get up in the morning. For you. I will survive this for you. Eleanor arrived at 3 in the morning, not with legal documents, not with strategy updates, with soup, chicken broth and rosemary, the same recipe her grandmother had made, the same recipe Eleanor had made when Caroline was sick as a child. I could not sleep, Eleanor said. Sat in the chair beside the bed, kept thinking about you here alone. I am fine. You are not fine, and that is okay. You do not have to be fine right now. She handed Caroline the thermos. The warmth of it was almost unbearable. Such a small kindness, such a simple gesture. Caroline's eyes filled with tears again. I do not know if I can do this, she whispered. All of it. The divorce, the custody battle, raising a baby alone. I do not know if I am strong enough. You are. How do you know? Because I know you better than anyone, better than Marcus ever did. I have watched you survive things that would have broken other people, and you are still here. I do not feel strong, I feel terrified. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite the fear. And you have been doing that every day since the gala. Caroline looked at her mother, at the woman who had spent 30 years fighting other people's battles, who had seen marriages implode and fortunes dissolve and people destroy each other in the name of love. Tell me the truth, she said. Do I have a chance against him, with all his money and lawyers and connections? Yes, you have more than a chance. You have evidence, you have a team, and you have something Marcus does not have. What is that? You have nothing left to lose. He is fighting to protect his empire, his reputation, his image. You are fighting for your daughter. That kind of motivation is worth more than all the money in the world. What if it is not enough? Then we go down fighting, together. but I do not think it will come to that. Eleanor took her daughter's hand, held it, the way she used to hold it when Carolyn was small and scared of thunderstorms. I am sorry, Eleanor said. For what? For seeing this coming and not saying more. For standing at your wedding and mourning instead of speaking. For letting you walk into a trap I could have warned you about. Would I have listened? No, but I should have tried anyway. I should have fought for you harder. You are fighting for me now. Yes, and I will keep fighting until there is nothing left to fight. They sat in silence, mother and daughter, connected by blood and history, and a future that was uncertain, but not hopeless. I need you to promise me something, Carolyn said. Anything. If something happens to me, during the delivery, if something goes wrong, nothing is going to go wrong. But if it does, promise me you will take care of her. Promise me you will tell her who I was before Marcus, before everything fell apart. Eleanor's eyes were wet, the first time Caroline had seen her mother cry in years. I promise, but you are going to be there to tell her yourself. We are going to get through this. All three of us. The words were not a guarantee, could not be a guarantee, but they were something. Carolyn closed her eyes, let the exhaustion finally take her. And somewhere in the darkness, she felt something shift, something break loose, something that might have been hope. Mirror technique moment. The phone in her hand, the search bar empty and waiting. The impulse to reach out to strangers for validation. The recognition that millions of women have done the same thing. Sat in their own darkness. Search for answers that no algorithm could provide. She is not alone, not really. She is part of a sisterhood of survivors. Women who trusted the wrong men. Women who lost themselves in love. Women who found their way back. She does not know this yet, but she will. Dr. Palmer released her 2 days later. The blood pressure was under control. The baby was stable. The immediate crisis had passed. But Caroline was different. Something had changed in that hospital room. In the darkness and the fear and the tears, she had hit bottom. And bottom, she was discovering, was a solid place to stand. Modified bed rest, Dr. Palmer reminded her. Short walks, light activity, no stress. I understand. I mean it, Caroline. Your daughter needs you to take this seriously. I am taking it seriously, more seriously than I have taken anything in my life. She went home to her mother's house, climbed into the childhood bed, looked at the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, and began to plan. Not the legal strategy. Eleanor and Graham would handle that, not the investigation. Ruth had everything under control. She planned something different, something personal. Who she was going to be when this was over. What kind of mother, what kind of woman, what kind of life she wanted to build from the wreckage. She made lists, goals, dreams that had nothing to do with Marcus Ashford. Go back to art curation, maybe at a smaller gallery. Somewhere she could discover new artists, help beautiful things find their place in the world, teach Grace about art, about beauty, about seeing the world with curious eyes. Travel, not to fancy resorts, to museums, to places where creativity bloomed. Paris, Florence, Barcelona. Be happy. Not dependent on a man, happy. Happy in herself, for herself, because of herself. The list grew longer, filled notebooks, became a map for a future she was beginning to believe in. The call from Vanessa came on a Thursday. Eleanor brought the phone to Caroline's room. She wants to talk, says she has information, says she is ready to make a deal. What kind of information? She would not say, just that it is important and time-sensitive. Carolyn thought about it, about the woman who had stood at the gala wearing her grandmother's diamonds, about the smile on her face, about all the nights she must have spent with Marcus while Caroline waited at home, oblivious. She should hate Vanessa. Part of her did, but another part remembered what Ruth had discovered. The pregnancy, the termination, the embezzlement born of desperation. Vanessa was not the enemy. She was another victim. Another woman who had trusted Marcus Ashford and paid the price. I will meet with her, Carolyn said, but not here, somewhere neutral. Are you sure in your condition? I need to look her in the eyes. I need to understand. Eleanor nodded, did not argue. She understood the need for closure. The need to face the people who had hurt you. The coffee shop was in Greenwich. Quiet, upscale. The kind of place where people discuss divorces and betrayals over artisanal lattes. Caroline arrived first, sat in a corner booth, watched the door. Vanessa appeared at 2 o'clock exactly. She looked different than she had at the gala. Smaller, older. The confidence stripped away, leaving something raw and frightened underneath. She slid into the booth across from Caroline. Did not order anything. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "I know I have no right to ask anything of you." "You are right. You do not have the right. But I am here anyway. So talk." Vanessa took a breath, let it out slowly. "I did not know," she said. "About most of it. The hidden money, the vasectomy, the therapy scheme. He kept me in the dark." "But you knew he was married. You knew I was pregnant." "Yes, I knew that. And you did not care." "I told myself I did not care. I told myself you were in the way, that he would be happier with me, that the marriage was already over and I was just helping it end." That is what people tell themselves when they do terrible things. Yes, it is. They looked at each other. Two women who had loved the same man, two women he had used and discarded. "Why are you here?" Carolyn asked. "What do you really want?" "I want out. Marcus is cutting me loose. The embezzlement investigation is making me a liability. He had his lawyer send me a letter threatening to press charges unless I disappear quietly." "So you are here to save yourself?" "Yes, but I am also here because I have information. Things Marcus said, documents I copied, recordings I made." "Why would you record him?" "Insurance. I knew what kind of man he was. I just thought—" She stopped, laughed bitterly. "I thought I was different. I thought he would never turn on me the way he turned on everyone else." "What do you have?" Vanessa pulled a flash drive from her purse, set it on the table between them. "Everything. 2 years of emails, text messages, voice recordings of conversations where he discussed how to manipulate the divorce, how to use your therapy against you, how to ensure you never saw your daughter without supervision." Carolyn looked at the flash drive, small and unassuming, capable of destroying an empire. "What do you want in exchange?" "Immunity. From the embezzlement charges, from whatever else Marcus tries to pin on me. I want protection. And if the information is not as valuable as you say—" "It is valuable, I promise you. There are things on that drive that will end him." Carolyn picked up the flash drive, turned it over in her hands. "He told me you were cold," Vanessa said quietly, "that you trapped him, that the pregnancy was your way of holding on to his money. What do you think now?" "I think he says that to everyone. I think he has a script, a performance, and we all fell for it. The necklace at the gala, did you know he was going to do that?" Vanessa shook her head. "I knew he was planning something. He said it would be a grand gesture. I thought—" She stopped, her eyes wet. "I thought he was going to propose. I thought he was finally going to choose me. Instead, he used us both, made us both into spectacles." "Yes." Silence. Long, heavy, the weight of shared betrayal pressing down on both of them. "The necklace is not a gift," Carolyn said finally. "It is a collar. He puts it on whoever he wants to control." Vanessa flinched. "I know that now. I gave it back. To your mother's investigator. I could not stand to look at it anymore." "You gave it back?" "It was never mine. I knew that the moment he put it around my neck. It felt wrong, heavy, like it was judging me." Carolyn slipped the flash drive into her purse. "My lawyers will review everything. If the information checks out, we will talk about immunity." "Thank you." "I am not thanking you. I am using you, just like Marcus used both of us. The only difference is I am being honest about it." Vanessa nodded, accepted the terms. "One more thing," she said as Caroline stood to leave. "The baby, your daughter. Do not let him anywhere near her. He will use her, the way he uses everyone. She deserves better than that." "I know. I am sorry for everything, for being part of this, for not seeing what I should have seen. I am sorry, too, for what he did to you." They looked at each other one last time. Not friends, probably never would be. But something had shifted, an understanding that only survivors of the same wreckage could share. Carolyn walked out of the coffee shop, into the December sunshine, into a future that was starting to look possible. Validation whisper number 4. I am not just leaving him. I am showing everyone who he really is, and I am not doing it alone. Breathing room that evening. Caroline in her mother's garden. The December cold sharp against her face. The roses are bare stems now, dormant, waiting for spring. She thinks about new beginnings, about things that and come back stronger, about the woman she is becoming. The baby kicks, a reminder, a promise, Bon. We are going to be okay, she whispers. I finally believe that. The flash drive changed everything. Graham spent 2 days verifying the contents. Every document authenticated, every recording confirmed. Vanessa had not exaggerated. She had been meticulous, careful, building a case against Marcus for 2 years without him ever suspecting. This is extraordinary, Graham said at the strategy meeting. We have conversations where he explicitly discusses hiding assets from Carolyn. We have emails where he instructs Dr. Mitchell on what to document. We have everything. Everything except a confession to murder, Ruth added dryly. Though at this point, I would not be surprised. Eleanor spread the key documents across the table. The board meeting is tomorrow. Marcus will be presenting the revised IPO timeline, trying to reassure investors that the company is stable despite the personal drama. And we are going to make sure they see these? Not directly. That would be too obvious. But certain board members will receive anonymous packages at their homes tonight. Packages containing a selection of the most damaging material. What about Marcus's lawyers? They will know we are behind it. They will suspect, but they will not be able to prove anything. And by the time they figure out how to respond, the damage will be done. Carolyn listened to them plan, the strategy, the timing, the calculated destruction of a man who had tried to destroy her first. I want to be there, she said. Everyone looked at her. At the board meeting, I want to be there when he realizes what is happening. That is not a good idea, Eleanor said carefully. You are supposed to be on bed rest, and the stress. I need to see his face. I need to know this is real. Carolyn, please, Mom. I have spent 3 years being kept in the dark. I need to see the light. Eleanor studied her daughter, saw something that had not been there before. A hardness, a determination. Fine, but you stay in the car with Ruth. You watch through the security feed we have access to. You do not go inside. Agreed. And if your blood pressure goes up even slightly, we leave immediately. Agreed. The board meeting was at the Ashford Technologies headquarters, a glass tower in downtown Hartford, Marcus's monument to his own success. Caroline sat in Ruth's car across the street, a laptop open on her knees, the security feed streaming in real time. She watched Marcus enter the building, confident, smiling, shaking hands with board members. The performance of a man who believed he had won. She watched him walk into the conference room, take his seat at the head of the table, spread his materials in front of him. She watched the board members file in, several of them carrying thick envelopes, the anonymous packages that had arrived at their homes that morning. She watched Marcus notice the envelopes, watched his smile flicker, just slightly, just for a moment. Then the meeting began. For the first 20 minutes, everything proceeded normally. Financial projections, market analysis, the revised IPO timeline. Then Preston Ashford stood up, Marcus's father, the family patriarch, the man who had built the company that Marcus now ran. Before we continue, Preston, I believe we need to address some concerns that have been raised. Marcus's face went still. What concerns? Several board members received materials this morning, disturbing materials regarding financial irregularities and personal conduct. I do not know what you are talking about. Then perhaps you can explain this. Preston held up a document. A shell company in Delaware, registered in your nephew's name, holding approximately $12 million in assets that are not reflected in any company records. Silence. Absolute silence. Marcus recovered quickly. That is a personal matter, unrelated to the company. Everything is related to the company when you are the CEO, and there is more. Preston held up another document. Voice recordings, conversations where you discuss hiding assets from your wife, manipulating her therapy, using your unborn child as leverage in a custody dispute. The color drained from Marcus's face. Caroline watched it happen, watched the mask slip, watched the real Marcus emerge from behind the performance. Those recordings are illegal. They were obtained without my consent. They were obtained by your mistress, who apparently did not trust you any more than your wife does. The board members were looking at each other, whispering, the carefully constructed image of Marcus Ashford crumbling in real time. This is a personal matter, Marcus repeated, his voice higher now, desperate. It has nothing to do with the IPO or the future of this company. It has everything to do with the company, another board member said. You have been using company resources for personal enrichment. You have created liability through your conduct. Investors are already asking questions. I can explain. You have explained enough. Preston's voice was cold, final. The board is calling an emergency session to discuss your continued role as CEO. You cannot do this. This is my company. I built it. You built it with other people's money, and those people are losing confidence rapidly. The meeting devolved into chaos. Board members arguing, lawyers being summoned, Marcus trying to regain control and failing. Carolyn watched all of it, every moment, every word. And when Marcus finally stormed out of the conference room, his face twisted with rage, she felt something she had not expected. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just a profound, bone-deep relief. It was finally over. The pretending, the hiding, the waiting for the other shoe to drop. The truth was out, and the truth was setting her free. The fallout was immediate and devastating. Within hours, the news had leaked. Financial outlets reporting on the emergency board meeting. Speculation about Marcus's future. Ashford Technologies stock dropping in pre-market trading. Within days, Marcus was removed from his position as CEO. The IPO was postponed indefinitely. The board announced an internal investigation into financial misconduct. Within a week, the divorce filing hit the courts. Eleanor moved with precision. Every document, every piece of evidence, a case so overwhelming that Marcus's lawyers could barely respond. But Marcus did not go quietly. He never would. He showed up at Eleanor's house on a Saturday morning, unannounced, unhinged. Caroline was in the living room when she heard the car pull up. The door slam, the pounding footsteps on the porch. I know you are in there. Marcus's voice was ragged, desperate. I know what you did. Eleanor appeared from the study, her face calm, her phone already in her hand. Do not open the door, she said quietly. I am calling the police. But Caroline was already moving, already walking toward the entrance. Something had shifted inside her, some final piece of fear breaking loose. She opened the door. Marcus stood there, unshaved, wild-eyed, his expensive suit wrinkled and stained. You destroyed everything, he said. My company, my reputation, everything I built. You destroyed it yourself. I just turned on the lights. He stepped closer, his hands clenched into fists. For a moment, Caroline felt a flash of the old fear, the instinct to shrink, to apologize, to make herself small. Then she remembered who she was now, who she was becoming. I spent 3 years making myself small for you, she said, her voice steady, strong. 3 years apologizing for existing. 3 years believing I was lucky to have someone like you. You were lucky. You had everything. I had nothing. I had a prison cell with a nice view, and I did not even know I was locked up. You will regret this. I will make sure you regret this for the rest of your life. No, I will not. For the first time in 3 years, I have nothing to regret. She started to close the door. He grabbed it, held it open. We are not finished. Yes, Marcus, we are. And then Diane appeared behind Caroline, and Eleanor and Ruth, who had been watching from her car. 4 women, standing together, blocking the door. Leave, Eleanor said. Her voice carried the weight of 30 years of destroying men like him. Now, before the police arrive. Marcus looked at them, at the wall of women he could not break through, at the end of everything he thought he owned. Then he turned and walked away, got in his car, drove off into the morning. Caroline closed the door, leaned against it, let out a breath she felt like she had been holding for 3 years. That was incredibly stupid, Eleanor said. I know. And incredibly brave. I know that too. They looked at each other, mother and daughter, survivors. It is almost over, Eleanor said. Just a little longer. I can wait. I have been waiting my whole life without knowing it. Mirror technique moment, Caroline at the door, looking Marcus in the eyes, finding nothing there she recognized. Nothing worth mourning. She realizes she has been mourning a man who never existed. A performance. A role he played to get what he wanted. The real Marcus was always this, cold, empty, calculating, and she is finally free of him. Validation whisper number 5. I spent 3 years making myself small for you. I am done shrinking forever. The final settlement meeting took place on a Tuesday in December. Neutral territory. A conference room in a Hartford law firm, glass walls and leather chairs, and the aggressive professionalism of people who billed by the hour. Marcus sat on one side of the table, 5 lawyers flanking him, his face carefully composed, controlled, the mask back in place. But Caroline could see the cracks now, the exhaustion beneath the polish, the desperation behind the confidence. He had lost everything, his company, his reputation, his carefully constructed image. Now he was about to lose what remained. Eleanor and Graham sat on Caroline's side, 3 associates behind them, a wall of legal expertise. The counteroffer Marcus's team slid across the table was predictable, insulting, a fraction of what they had demanded. Eleanor did not even look at it. We are not here to negotiate, she said. We are here to inform you of our terms. Your terms? Marcus's lead attorney scoffed. Your client is a housewife with no income and no assets. She should be grateful for whatever Mr. Ashford is willing to offer. My client is the mother of Mr. Ashford's child. She is also the holder of evidence that could destroy what remains of his reputation. And she is represented by lawyers who have not lost a case in 30 years. You are bluffing. I never bluff. Eleanor pulled a document from her briefcase. These are our terms. Full custody of Grace Eleanor Ashford, sole decision-making authority regarding her education, health, and welfare. No unsupervised visitation until Mr. Ashford completes a psychological evaluation and parenting class is approved by the court. That is unreasonable. There is more. The Connecticut estate, current market value $12 million. The grandmother's diamond necklace, which was illegally removed from my client's possession, and 61% of Mr. Ashford's liquid assets, based on the full accounting of hidden funds discovered during our investigation. 61%? That is actually less than she is entitled to under Connecticut law, given the extent of fraud Mr. Ashford has committed. We are being generous. Marcus finally spoke, his voice tight, controlled. I will never agree to this. Then we go to trial and everything we have, every document, every recording, every piece of evidence becomes public record. The financial fraud, the vasectomy reversal, the conspiracy with Dr. Mitchell, all of it. You would not dare. Watch me. Silence. The lawyers whispering to each other. Marcus staring at Eleanor with something like respect, or fear, or both. We need time to consider, his lead attorney said. You have until Friday. After that, we file for trial. The meeting adjourned. No handshakes, no pleasantries, just 2 sides of a war preparing for the final battle. The call came Thursday night. Marcus wanted to talk, alone. Just the 2 of them. Every instinct told Caroline to refuse, to let the lawyers handle it, to stay safe behind the walls of legal protection. But some conversations needed to happen face to face. Some endings required looking the other person in the eyes. She agreed to meet him. At Eleanor's house, with Ruth watching from outside, with her phone recording every word. He arrived at 8 o'clock, came in through the front door, stood in the living room where she had stood so many times as a child. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. The billionaire brought low. I am going to accept your terms, he said. All of them. Wait, Guang? Because I do not have a choice, and because, he stopped, took a breath, and because I deserve this. Caroline stared at him, waited. I never loved you, he said. Not the way you deserved, not the way you wanted. You were a means to an end, a piece in a game I was playing. I know. I know you know. I just wanted to say it, out loud, so there is no confusion about what this was. What was it? For you? Control, power, the satisfaction of making someone need me. He laughed bitterly. I was very good at it for a long time. Until you were not. Until I was not. They stood in silence. Two people who had shared a bed and made a child and never truly known each other. I am sorry, Marcus said. The words hung in the air. Carolyn examined them, tested them for sincerity. No, you are not. You are sorry you got caught. You are sorry you lost. You are not sorry for what you did. Maybe not, but I am saying it anyway. Make of it what you will. I will make nothing of it. Your apology means nothing to me. I know. He turned to leave, then stopped, looked back. The baby. Grace. Will I ever see her? Maybe, someday. When you have proven you can be trusted, when you have done the work to become someone worthy of being her father. And if I never do, then you will never see her. Some consequences are permanent. He nodded, accepting it or pretending to accept it. Then he walked out the door, out of her life, out of her future. Carolyn stood in the living room for a long time after he left, processing, feeling, letting go. It was over. Finally, truly over. The papers were signed on Friday. Full custody, the estate, the assets, everything they had demanded. Eleanor brought the documents home, spread them on the kitchen table. Let Caroline look at each one. It is done, Eleanor said. You won. We won. No, you won. I just helped. Caroline picked up the final page. Marcus's signature, shaky, uncertain. The handwriting of a man who had lost everything. I thought I would feel different, she said, triumphant, vindicated, something. What do you feel? Tired, relieved, ready for something new. That is exactly how you should feel. They sat together at the table, mother and daughter, the papers between them like the closing of a chapter. What happens now? Carolyn asked. Now you rest. You have the baby, you heal. And when you are ready, you build a new life. What kind of life? Whatever kind you want, that is the point. You get to choose now. Choose, the word felt foreign. For 3 years, Marcus had made all the choices. Where they lived, how they spent their time, who they saw, what they did. Now it was her turn. I want to go back to art, Caroline said slowly. Curation, finding beautiful things, helping them find their place in the world. Then that is what you will do. And I want to travel with Grace when she is old enough, Paris, Florence, Barcelona. Then that is what you will do. And I want to be happy, really happy, not dependent on someone else happy. Happy in myself. Then that is exactly what you will be. Eleanor reached across the table, took her daughter's hand. I am proud of you, she said, more proud than I have ever been of anything in my life. I could not have done it without you. You would have found a way. You are stronger than you know. Carolyn looked at the documents. At the end of her marriage spread out on her mother's kitchen table. Then she looked at her belly, at the future growing inside her. I think I am finally starting to believe that, she said. Mirror technique moment. The papers on the table. Marcus's signature at the bottom. Proof that it is over. Carolyn traces the signature with her finger. Remembers when that handwriting meant love letters and birthday cards. Remembers believing it meant forever. Now it means freedom. Grace Eleanor Ashford arrived on a Tuesday in January, 3 days after the new year. A fresh start in every sense. The labor was long. 18 hours of contractions and breathing and moments of panic. Eleanor in the delivery room, Diane holding her hand, Dr. Palmer guiding her through every stage. At 7:32 in the morning, Grace took her first breath, let out her tears, announced herself to a world that had been waiting for her. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, dark hair like her mother, strong lungs that protested being removed from her comfortable home. The nurse placed Grace in Carolyn's arms, warm weight against her chest, small eyes blinking open, tiny fingers curling around nothing. Hello, Carolyn whispered. I have been waiting so long to meet you. Grace made a sound, not quite a cry, not quite a coo, something in between, the beginning of a voice that would one day speak words. She is perfect, Eleanor said. her voice thick with tears. Absolutely perfect. She really is. Carolyn looked at her daughter, at the tiny face that was already the most important thing in the world, at the future that had arrived despite everything trying to prevent it. Grace, she said the name aloud, tasted it, let it settle into her heart. Because that is how we survived. With Grace, it is beautiful, Diane said. She is beautiful. You are beautiful. Everything is beautiful, and I am going to cry forever. They laughed, all of them. Even Grace, who made that noise again and waved her fist at the ceiling. For a moment, everything was simple. Everything was right. A mother and a daughter and the people who loved them. The world outside could wait. The complications, the challenges, the long road of healing that still stretched ahead. Right now, there was only this room, this moment, this new life. 6 months passed. Spring arrived, then summer, the world greening and warming and renewing itself. Caroline sold the Connecticut estate, used the money to buy a smaller house in Westport, 3 bedrooms, a garden that needed work, a kitchen that filled with morning light. She painted the nursery herself, soft yellow walls, white furniture, stars on the ceiling that glowed in the dark. Grace grew. First smiles at 6 weeks, first laughs at 3 months, first attempts at crawling that ended in frustrated cries and then triumph. Every milestone felt like a victory. Every day, without Marcus, felt like freedom. The grandmother's necklace lived in a safety deposit box, waiting for Grace, for the day when she would be old enough to understand its history, its weight, what it had survived, and what it represented. Eleanor came by every Sunday, brought lunch, played with her granddaughter, watched Caroline slowly become herself again. "You look different," Eleanor said one afternoon. They were in the garden, Grace asleep in her carrier, roses beginning to bloom. "Different how?" "Lighter, like something heavy has been lifted." "Something has, several somethings." "The divorce?" "Partly, but also," Carolyn thought about how to explain it. "I spent so long trying to be what Marcus wanted, what I thought a wife should be. I forgot who I actually was. And now you remember? Now I am figuring it out. Day by day, it is like meeting myself for the first time. That is a good thing." "It is. It really is." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind of silence only people who truly know each other can share. "I have been thinking about going back to work," Carolyn said. "A gallery in town is looking for a curator, part-time, flexible hours." "That sounds perfect. It feels right. I miss art. I miss finding beautiful things and helping people see them." "Then you should do it." "I will, after the summer, when Grace is a little older." The future stretched ahead, not the future she had imagined when she married Marcus. Something different, something better, something that belonged entirely to her. The charity gala was in September. Different city, different venue, different life. Carolyn stood at the entrance in a black dress, simple, elegant, no diamonds. She did not need them anymore. She had not planned to come, had sworn off these events after the humiliation of the last one. But the cause was children's literacy. She had always cared about children's literacy, and she refused to let Marcus take that away too. The ballroom was full of familiar faces, old acquaintances who had witnessed her worst moment, who had gossiped and speculated and made her pain into their entertainment. She walked past them with her head high, found her table, sat down. Diane was already there. Eleanor too. Ruth, who had become something like a friend. Her people. Her chosen family. "You look amazing," Diane said. "I feel amazing." "That is even better." The evening passed pleasantly. Good food. Interesting conversations. None of the dread she had expected. Then a man approached the table. Tall, handsome, a confident smile. "I could not help but notice you from across the room," he said. "I am uninterested," Caroline said. He blinked, surprised. "I am sorry?" "I said not interested. Whatever line you were about to deliver, whatever charm you think will work, save it for someone else." He retreated, looking confused, wounded. Diane laughed. "That was harsh. That was self-preservation." "Same thing sometimes." Carolyn smiled, took a sip of wine, looked around the room at all the people who no longer had the power to hurt her. "I never thought I would be happy again." she said quietly. After everything, I thought happiness was something that had been taken from me permanently. And now I know better. Happiness is not something anyone can take. It is something I create every day, in small moments and big ones. That is very wise. I learned it the hard way. The evening ended late. Carolyn drove home through quiet streets, past sleeping houses and darkened windows. Grace was with Eleanor for the night, a grandmother who would spoil her hopelessly. The house was dark when Caroline arrived. She walked through empty rooms, turned on lights, made tea, sat on the couch with her hands wrapped around the warm cup. A year ago, she had been Mrs. Marcus Ashford, a title that defined everything she was and everything she was supposed to be. Now she was just Caroline, mother, survivor, artist, work in progress. It was more than enough. Grace woke at dawn. Caroline lifted her from the crib, carried her to the rocking chair by the window, the same kind of chair that had been in the nursery she never finished at the Ashford estate. This one was better. This one was hers. "Good morning, little one," she whispered. Grace cooed, reached for her mother's face. Those small fingers that had gotten so much stronger in 6 months. "We are going to have a good day," Carolyn said. "We are going to go for a walk, see the ocean, watch the waves, and then we are going to come home and make a mess in the kitchen trying to cook something." Grace made a sound that might have been agreement. "And someday, when you are older, I am going to tell you everything. About your father, about what happened, about how we survived." The baby looked at her, those dark eyes that seemed to understand more than any infant should. "But not today. Today is just for us." Caroline looked out the window, at the garden beginning to show signs of autumn, at the world slowly changing, at the future that was wide open and waiting. "He took the diamonds off my neck in front of 300 people. He thought he was stripping me of value. What he did not understand, what men like him never understand, is that my worth was never in the stones, it was in the steel. I am Caroline, mother, survivor, whole person, and I am just getting started." Mirror technique moment. Caroline catches her reflection in the window. The morning light soft on her face, her daughter in her arms. She smiles at herself, a genuine smile, the first of many. The woman looking back is someone worth knowing. Final validation. Whisper. The prison door had been unlocked the whole time. I was my own warden. Now I am free. And that is the story of how Caroline Ashford went from broken to unbreakable. If this story touched your heart, if you felt her pain and cheered for her victory, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your favorite moment. Was it when Eleanor started recording? When Vanessa switched eyes? Or that final confrontation at the door? If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who needs to hear that starting over is possible. And if you want more stories like this, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I have something special coming next week that you will not want to miss. Thank you for staying until the end. You are the reason I tell these stories. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, your worth is never in the diamonds. It is in the steel.